We're now joined by Peter Espig, the CEO of Nicola Mining. We're going to be discussing their newly received multi-year exploration permit for Treasure Mountain, which is a silver project, and what this means for unlocking the property's exploration potential. According to Peter, this is the first time we're actually going to go and explore for the first time in more than a decade. Peter, for viewers who may not be so familiar with Nicola Mining, we can say that you have been focusing on your other project, Craigmont, for the past 5 years or so. With these new permits in hand for Treasure Mountain, would you say that your strategy will be shifting?
No, I would say that the easiest way to think of it is that we're expanding. And, we're Nicola Mining in general, like we tend to be very fiscally responsible. So we've never gotten into the platform where, raise money, go explore, raise money, go explore. Like we've tried to use our own capital as much as we could. So, we do have the Craigmont copper project, which is the highest grade copper mine in history, major copper mine in history in North America. And Treasure Mountain's been kind of forgotten, and even though it's a great asset. So, but we just didn't have the bandwidth from our own capital to do both. And so now, as the company ramps up its cash flow, we expect to generate a lot of operating cash flow from our operations. And now is the time, and obviously silver prices have gone up, but that's not the reason why we're suddenly jumping into Treasure Mountain. It's the fact that we now have the bandwidth, we have the permits in place, and now is the time that we can start exploring what we consider to be a great asset.
Okay. Well, with silver prices showing strength recently, how does the current market here within the precious metal space factor into your decision to ramp up exploration activities at Treasure Mountain?
That's a great question. So first of all, the timing is somewhat fortuitous or coincidental that the silver prices have reacted the way they have at the time we planned on doing exploration. But to be clear, so we haven't done anything in 10 years. And this goes back to 2012. So in 2013, Treasure Mountain is a high grade silver mine. And in 2013, the company was mining the silver. Silver was $14.68 an ounce. Our cost of mining is $12, and the Canadian dollar was $1.05 to the US. So it didn't make sense to deplete the resource at the time. So we put the mine into care and maintenance. We shuttered the portals, and then we moved our focus on operations. And now over the past years, and it took a while to really understand because we've done soil and geochemical. So we have done work. We just haven't gotten to the point of doing like IP or drilling and that. And so we always had the stance that if silver was above $25, like steady above $25 US, that we would look at either reopening the mine and doing exploration. And we feel pretty comfortable that silver is above $25. And that kind of motivated us to say, okay, we applied for, as you know, a 10-year mine extension. We applied for a MIAB. Now, to give an example, the MIAB application was put in 2 years ago. It just happens that we just received it. So the momentum seems to be in our favor, but the planning has taken more than 2 to 3 years.
Now, in terms of, you mentioned that you've always been focused on being fiscally responsible. When it comes to what you're budgeting for with exploration and continuing to operate Craigmont, can you walk us through how that looks like as well?
Yeah, so I mean, it may be easy to go through some milestones that we're going to be doing this year. So on the operations side, and there's a lot happening. So in June, we commence gold silver milling with our partner Talisker. So we'll be producing gold and silver material under that partnership. On July 2nd, we put into production our own project, which is the Dominion Gold Project, which is a high grade gold project. So that comes online. So we commence July 2nd. We start milling the material in August. In mid-July, Blue Lagoon, who we're one of the largest shareholders of, because we're able to allocate our capital, and we've partnered with them. they will also commence
Mhm.
their gold production. So they'll come online in August. So we've got a steady stream of ramping up of revenues, which kind of really
Mm.
changes the way the company is. I mean, we will be a true long-term gold silver producer over the next 8 to 12 years. That said, now on the exploration side, we've started exploration at the Craigmont Copper Project on June 1st. So we've already started the exploration. We'll have news on that coming, and with results pending. Well, we haven't completed holes yet, but at the end of the year, we'll come out with those results. In July to August, we will then we'll go to Treasure Mountain and we'll look at the silver side. And remember, in 2012, Coeur d'Alene invested $5 million at a $200 million valuation. And so there was something there. And so we've communicated with Coeur over the years as to what was the genesis of that investment. And so now we kind of have our clear, okay, this is what we're going to do. As I mentioned, like it took 2 years to get the MIAB, the 5-year permit. It took 2 years to get the mill, the mine permit extension. So everything is falling in place where we're going to be doing exploration at Craigmont, really ramping up and filling the mill full production over the next 8 to 12 years, and exploration at Treasure Mountain. So there's a lot of irons in the fire, but it's a very exciting time to be a Nicola shareholder.
Well, let's talk about exploration targets specifically. So the MB zone
Yeah.
shows some historical results here, including 9,200 some grams per ton silver in terms of surface sampling.
Yeah.
What's the strategy here for systematically exploring the soil anomaly, which is about 2 kilometers, and you've got 30 permitted drill holes? How will you be prioritizing them?
Yeah, so that like the backside. So just to give a little bit of overview, because it really is fascinating. So we have a fully permitted silver mine, and it's a high grade silver mine. The 43101 is 28 ounces silver per ton, with 20% lead and 20% zinc. So that's a known entity. But on the backside, and this goes back to the thesis of that Coeur had, is that it seems to be a different geological event. And if you've ever been to the backside of the mountain, there's two things that are just like really exciting. One is very beautiful, and one is just like eye popping. So the first is that on the backside of the mountain, there's actually a waterfall that goes over a silver vein, and it's quite aesthetic to see. So you have the silver vein, you've got this waterfall going over it, and then you can trace how the vein goes. And then as you go further, so this is the MB zone, you see veining at surface. Now, the veining at surface, what we in the soil sample, and this is sampling across the veins, we have anywhere between from 0.5 gram gold to 2.5 grams gold, from 700 grams silver to 7,000 grams silver, 0.5% copper to 4% copper, 20% lead, 20% zinc, and we haven't tested for other rare earths or other minerals. But
Hmm.
the fact is that the historic mine doesn't have gold or copper, and so now, or the current mine. So, so and if you look at they're separated. So it's not a contiguous mineralization from the MB zone to the current mine. They're separate. So we need to do, as the stages are to do IP survey, because there's something there. It's 2 kilometer, across anomaly. So we'll do
Mhm.
IP survey. From there, we'll then start targeting where our drill targets will be. And we're really excited to see what's below it. I mean, we can see what pops up at surface, but exploring the larger anomaly, that will require drilling.
Well, I guess we'll end it with this last question. Again, we were talking about exploration upside potential here at Treasure Mountain. What kind of resource growth are you targeting, and over what time frame? For your information, for the audience, there is already an established resource estimate, which of course will be set up for an update at some point.
Yeah, so I guess the backside is, and again, Treasure Mountain is somewhat of a forgotten asset, and our company, so our market capitalization or share price has done very well over the past 5 years. If you were to track it over the past 5 years, we're basically up 20-25% almost every year. And so we've done very well in that. And that's based on our operation potential and the Craigmont. Now, when we look at the Treasure Mountain, look, the reality is that in 2013, the company had a 230 million market cap based on the silver asset and the mill. And so I would say at first stage, it's a proof of concept, because if we prove that there's a VMS system, or we prove that there's a large anomaly below, it actually changes the way that asset is, and it changes the way nickel is as a company, because obviously we would want to put it into production and send it to our mill. So I can't really say how quickly it's going to be, but what I can say is that if we have success, we're going full bore, like to expand it and to move it towards production. And one key and a very important point that I have to emphasize is that there are very few exploration projects that come with a mine permit associated with that project. And so because we have a mine permit and we already have the mill, you completely expedite the whole value or the net present value of that asset by being able to discover it, explore it, extract it, and monetize it. So that's kind of the path that we're on, and we're going to do it aggressively.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to bug you with that question later on. Again.
Awesome. Thank you.
Peter Espig of Nicola Mining. It's NIM on the Venture Exchange. Make sure to go to CEO.CA to also see what other shareholders are saying. Thanks for watching.